You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the February 7th, 2024 meeting of the Michigan City Tree Board. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
And I will call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Michigan City Tree Board on Wednesday, February 7th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. And I'd like to start off by greeting our new forester.
Yes.
Michael Wolf. Nice to have you with us. Finally.
Welcome. That's right.
And Mary Nell Murphy has been reappointed through 2028. I have been reappointed until February of next year. And we have a new member who cannot be here tonight, Dominique Edwards. And her appointment, she's filling Dahlia's spot, and it goes into the middle of next year. Yeah, I don't remember the exact date. But I think Dominique will be a great addition to our group. I know her as very involved with the Walker Street Park Community Gardens, and also very interested in food security, food justice. So,
Yeah, it sounds
Sure.
like that's what she's getting her master's in.
I'm sorry?
And I've known her for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So she was just sworn in by the mayor this afternoon, so she
Okay.
was sorry she couldn't make it today, this evening, but she will certainly be at the next meeting.
That would be
We need a roll call. You want to do that?
That's what I get to say. Roll call, please, Ms. Secretary. Dennis Britton.
Here.
Dominique Edwards is not here. Betsy Elsesser. Here. Laura Henderson, I'm here. Jim Milowitz.
Here.
Mary Nell Murphy is not here. Tim Werner.
Present.
Okay, we do have a quorum.
I have a question. Do we have another new member coming on? Is Jen Birchfield going to be one?
I'm not sure. There will be a
We don't know.
replacement for me, so that's all I know.
We do not know.
Do you know who the liaison with the council is going to be?
I do not know.
We
I
do
don't
not know.
I don't know that the mayor has gotten that far yet.
That email from Don Prespolinski was about something else.
Okay.
Okay, elections. So we need to elect a president, a vice president, a secretary, and maybe even a treasurer if anybody's interested in being treasurer. So, any volunteers or nominations for president? I nominate
Mary Nell Murphy.
Yes, I'll teach her. I'll second that.
She doesn't want to serve.
I know.
I don't think you should nominate her. if you didn't.
I nominate Jim Milowitz.
I will second that nomination.
I will do it for a year. After which I will hope and pray that somebody else will take it over.
That's sensible.
So I guess we have two nominations on the floor. One we know is going to refuse, and one who has just agreed to do it for a year.
Which is like Donald Trump saying he'll only be in office for 1 year, one term. Just kidding.
So how do I do this? Do I?
You just call for a vote for the nomination that we know will,
Okay. So all those in favor of Jim Milowitz? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
motion
Okay.
carries.
It carries. Thank you, Jim. For vice president,
I would nominate Mary Nell if she wants to serve.
I'll second that.
I think she will do that.
Yeah, she seemed to be interested in that.
Okay.
Any other?
Any more nominations?
I'd nominate Laura for secretary.
let's do vice president first.
Vice President.
Okay. Any more nominations for vice president? All in favor of Mary Neal Murphy as vice president, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Secretary,
I would nominate Laura Henderson
I would do it.
as secretary for life.
Oh,
I will second that.
you're right.
Any other nominations for secretary?
I'm not on the board, but I would like to be nominated for secretary.
Don't you have enough to do?
Well, yes and no, but I figured since I work for the mayor and we talk frequently, that it would be, might be advantageous to, and I'll be here at all the meetings anyway.
Someone at her side to know what's going on.
Yeah, she and I have had multiple conversations about different things. And, when we were talking about her, I guess I wasn't appointed to the board. I was recommended, I guess, would be more accurate. We were talking about it, what boards she wanted me to work on. And I suggested this one and another committee, and she seconded both of them and said, no, those would be great. And but yeah, so I just, like I said, I'm not on the board, but I'd like to nominate myself if I can for the position.
I'm not sure how that works.
I don't think you
But what do you see yourself doing as secretary?
Yeah, see
Taking minutes?
taking minutes, doing the agenda, you know, getting the stuff out.
Okay. We have somebody in planning, a secretary of planning, I think she's a secretary.
You do, Carrie.
Carrie, who has been doing it.
Right, and I would like to say that Carrie, while she's doing it, one of the things that kind of spurred this was Carrie was trying to get the minutes done,
Uh-huh,
and she's buried. I'll be honest, she's just absolutely buried.
Okay.
She's got it playing on her monitor, and she's trying to answer the phone. She deals with the customer. She's got everybody in the inspection department talking to her. It took her hours to do the minutes. And I thought, no, it's really, in my opinion, was just unfair to her time to have her doing it. And I thought, well, I could do it, What's the next answer would be just do it myself. So that's why I talked about it.
What's the possibility of you functioning as an adjunct secretary? You can work along with Laura, and you're our base at City Hall, so that you could take some of that pressure off the lady that does the work there.
Right.
You've been at the meeting.
As well as the lady that does the work here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Sounds like
think it's wonderful, I just
Yeah.
don't know if, like what you're saying, I don't know if we can officially elect you secretary.
I don't
We can
think,
certainly have him be adjunct secretary. to help you out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, adjunct secretary, I think would work really well.
I think that'd be great.
You're also our liaison
Right.
communicator.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't think you can nominate yourself.
No, I probably can't.
And I don't
Let's
think the
vote
board
for
can nominate you either,
secretary.
because
Right.
you're not on the
We can
board.
nominate you
But
for adjunct.
I think that
Okay.
role
Makes
of being
sense.
adjunct secretary and taking on those responsibilities would be immensely helpful and appreciated.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a nomination on the floor for secretary, that's me. And we will get to the business of an adjunct secretary. So, all those in favor of Laura Henderson as secretary, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No, okay.
I would like to nominate our new forester as an adjunct secretary to the tree board.
I definitely second that.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Michael. Does anybody want to be treasurer?
As an aside, I thought that our comptroller was more or less our treasurer.
Yeah, I see the treasurer as kind of being the go-between between
Yeah, just
the
kind of get.
comptroller's office and here, because,
Because of that.
yeah, because of that, like you
Yeah,
said, I
never
see numbers
understood
and
all
push my
that.
eyes. If they have dollar signs in front of them, my brain doesn't function. So,
Well, like you're gonna be closer tied to budgets and things that we have, you as the forester budget and that, what the tree board monies.
Right.
Does,
so maybe as adjunct secretary.
do Betsy or Dennis have a desire to be treasurer?
Absolutely not.
Not really? No?
No.
So we could go without a treasurer?
We will continue without an
Yeah.
official treasurer.
Okay,
Michael and I will figure it out,
okay.
mainly Michael.
Does that work, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
All right, thank you,
approval
everybody.
Of last month's minutes. I hope you got the copy online because my printer stopped working.
Can't see the minutes.
Oh, I saw them earlier.
I don't
I think they were.
I took a look.
they sent out.
I don't have a copy, so.
That's my one and only copy.
I had no comments.
I would move to approve the minutes.
I will second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Secretary Treasurer's report and claims. This, I don't think it's printed out exactly what we looked at last time, but I thought it was interesting because some of these areas have populated since we got a forester. And
Yeah.
others have not.
Right, I'm surprised we all of a sudden, there's money in this stuff.
Yep. I don't think I see any money for buying trees.
For what?
Buying trees.
There is, I questioned that myself. I went through the budget, you know, and I talked with the mayor, because that was my concern. When I looked at the budget, there is no revenue, or everybody should be, each department, in my opinion, is a standalone profit center. So my department has to work within my budget, but my budget has, the budget has no revenue, has no expense other than salary, and, you know, stuff to keep the forester happy. But there's no no profit or revenue, no way to track that. I do have money in another budget. I've got included in the one line, Department 116, Central Services, Economic Development Fund, 439.090. There is 150,000 in there for other services and charges, other contractual services, which I've been
That's cutting
told
down trees.
that is trees. But, again, I'm the forester and I will need to work with these guys. I have no authority, or I have no employees, no staff, and no authority to, I mean, I can certainly take care of trees, and I'm, part of what I've been working on is a paper flow and process for handling tree issues. So that 150,000 is, I could tap into that when I need that for trees, but that is for city trees services. And this, so there's not really any money that I could find listed for buying trees.
Yeah, I think that money was intended for cutting down
Tree removal.
and trimming.
Tree removal.
Yeah.
Tree removal and maybe tree trim,
Right. So,
but not,
yeah, that 150,000 sitting there in that expense line, but it's actually in somebody else's budget.
Yeah, and I will say, Mike, that you have the same authority as the city engineer, being directly under the mayor.
Right.
That the mayor will, if whatever we ask for the other departments to do, the mayor directs.
And I asked her this very same question, and that was her answer to me.
Yeah, that was what she told me as well. Yeah.
Yeah, she said, you are the department head, and if I need something, go get it.
We get it, yep.
So take care of
You
it.
do
So,
know, you do know there that we would expect to receive a grant later this year for trees in the fall, where we'll probably get about 20-25 trees.
right.
The
Then now,
community tree grant.
the tree grant that's coming in, I was able to talk with the,
Drew Hart,
thank you,
yeah.
Drew Hart
Drew Hart
this
came into
morning.
the city today and we met.
I met with Drew this morning, well, actually Tim and I both did. And I met with him and we discussed the grant, the process. He gave me the 5-year plan as far as what's expected each year. And from Drew, I was able to really get a lot of information from him. And so he's given me, in fact, hate to do this. This is my folder on the trees. First year
Already including the
of the-
items from the grant.
of his plan, or
I'm sorry,
Also,
can we have one conversation at a time? Thank you. Go ahead.
I talked to Drew. He gave me the first year plan, and the first year does not really have trees in it.
Right,
There's no, everything in the first year is all administrative. It's setting up, creating the RFP for bids, developing a contract, tree inventory, all of which I'm working on, honestly, already. And develop a hazard tree mitigation program, already on that. Assessment of existing tree, or an assessment of the existing tree canopy. That's gonna be part of the tree inventory. So it's in process, but we're kind of behind the 8 ball as far as like trees. There are no funds for trees. Unless we look at the $632 that's in the statement of cash position that Carrie
that's the
put
tree
together.
board, that's the tree board donation fund.
Yeah.
I think at this point, our priorities should be to administer the grant money that we're getting effectively.
Right.
Do what we need to do under that, what our promises have been to spend that money in the ways that we promised to spend it. And then also plan for the community tree grant trees in the fall. Beyond that, I don't know that we're really prepared to do anything
Right.
in terms of
I
planting trees.
think,
Are we?
well, I think that the,
SCA will help us this year.
I meant to get,
Conservation Association.
I'm sorry. Go ahead,
Sorry.
no, go ahead.
No, we were talking that the Student Conservation Association will be able to help us plant
Yes,
trees.
yes,
And I was just gonna.
within the grant.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, Mike, if you're tracking separately the time for these items in the grant so that we can get that money assigned from the 300,000 or whatever we have for this year.
Because there's 250,000, I think it is, or approximately, off the top of my head, in that grant for administrative fees and that kind of thing. So, yes, I'm tracking that
I
separate.
just wanted to make sure that we can get that time that you're spending on those things as
Exactly.
opposed to all the other duties that you're doing so that we can track that.
Right, because the grant program's separate from the city. And when the money does come in, I've talked to the controller's office, because that was one of my questions early on when I looked at the budget. Again, in my opinion, there's all this tree money sitting out there. Why isn't it in the budget? Well, the answer to that is we haven't received any, so they haven't put it in the budget. So, but after talking today, I now see how that money is going to be distributed to us and how we're going to have to approach getting that money from them. So that money will have to be, they haven't, we're a couple steps ahead of the thing. The forestry department hasn't officially gotten to the point of they're ready for us to spring into action. So they're a little behind, but they're working on it. I'm getting up to speed and working on it. So at this point though, the money's not there either, for us.
I have a question, Mike, about what you mentioned, the hazardous tree
Yep.
component of the grant. Does that include invasives?
They, yes and no. I mean, it might be able to. I have to run that through the forestry department to make sure that they classify an invasive as hazardous. Typically in the tree world, a hazardous tree is anything that's dead, dying, or diseased that could strike. They're known as targets, but that could strike.
Dangerous tree.
Widowmakers.
Okay, well, I want to, maybe I can talk about this under new business or later on, but I want to talk about invasive trees and what we should be, whether we should consider additional initiatives to dealing with invasives, particularly the tree of heaven.
Actually, I'm working on that too as a separate note through the city.
Let's talk about that under new business.
Okay.
Yeah. We're still on the Secretary Treasurer's report on claims. I just wanted to say that I don't think Michigan City should get used to the idea that grants are going to buy the trees for the city. And I think in the past, the city has appropriated money for the purchase of trees. I meant to dig out old budgets and I didn't get to it. But I think that's something we need to talk to City Council about, is putting some money in the budget for trees,
Absolutely.
Yes.
aside from what we're getting through the grant.
If I might add, in consideration of what we're getting through the grant, that in fact should free up monies in the budget for us to do that, because now we have all this money coming in, so with our
Yeah.
frosting, we should be able to work.
Well, they've gotten
That-
used for several years, we'd had no forester, so they
Yeah, well, now we do.
zeroed out the budget.
Now we got a grant.
Now they have to get back
Voice.
in the game, yes. Okay, so do I have a motion to accept this budget performance report?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Communications, let's see, a little stack here. So Mary Nell wrote a nice little summary of the special meeting we had with Drew Hartley, O'Slayers, a couple of us, and Mayor Angie and Skylar York. And I'm just going to read this here into the record. It was a productive and reassuring meeting. We reviewed the budget. The only adjustment was to the equipment line for $5,000. Tim will check with the city and or NERC to see about getting the watering trailer, various avenues, and those funds will now go toward more trees. The budget is below, as you can see, the $5,000 adjustment has not been made on this original version. The first year of the grant will focus on planning and preparations, the tree inventory, reaching out to nurseries to source the trees, community engagement, discussed having community tree champions, stipends. Years 2, 3, and 4 will be the bulk of the tree planting and maintenance, Year 5 will be mostly maintenance. As CA's Leo assured us, they will be ready and funded to provide the trees and planters next year. Mayor Angie had several ideas on community engagement. Drew said he looks forward to meeting with our new arborist forester. We also briefly discussed grants we can apply for to continue this work after this 5-year grant is up. So that's the summary of that meeting. And I got an email from Michael, some things he would like on the agenda. We've already addressed the secretary, and we will address the grant, and including all the things that haven't already been discussed. And let's see, you also said you have a report for what you've been doing in the direction of forestry, and do we want your reports in writing or in any special format? So I'm thinking it might be good for us to get your reports in writing. We haven't in the past.
I think that's a great idea, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know that we need, every detail, every blow by blow, but certainly something that sort of summarizes, as we were talking about before the meeting, what you've done in the past month and what you're looking forward to doing in the next month. That would kind of give us a template, save a lot of time at the meeting as well.
Yeah.
If it doesn't take a whole lot of time for you to put something like that together. I don't think we want to create a big administrative burden on you by this, but it would be helpful.
Well, I appreciate that thought. I always felt it would be best, my personal opinion is, should be in writing so that it can be, makes it easier to be just slipped into the notes of minutes and
Exactly.
meeting, thing attached.
Thank you.
Well, it's also good for not only documentation, but tracking, that we can go back and say, at this time in this month, you brought this up, and okay, where are we now in measurement 2-3 months ago?
Right.
So it's a good measuring tool as well.
So, yeah, that's great.
That's great.
Yeah, and I will say, Micah, in the sanitary district, we get a one-page report about from all the main staff members there at the sanitary district, the sanitary board every meeting, so it's just quick, boom, 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 okay, you did this great, thank you.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, I think one page
Good
would be
Yep.
Yeah.
enough.
And Jim sent a link, I think most of you saw it, it's about the Tree Council, which is an organization in the United Kingdom of tree wardens. And
Oh, yeah.
I just printed out what tree wardens do. The tree wardens plant, protect, and promote their local trees. No training or experience in tree management is needed, just a love of trees and a few hours to spare. Some of the projects tree warden groups have done include arranging local tree planting days, pruning, watering, caring for local trees, working with local authorities to plant and care for street trees, rejuvenating local woodlands, raising funds and finding land for tree planting projects, going into schools to talk about the value of trees. So these are some things that tree board members might
Yeah,
do.
my response was, I'm part of a large organization in Chicago called Tree Keepers. And we have over 1,000 people, volunteers, who do exactly everything on your list. Not all of them are as active as others. But there is that program of tree stewards that are trained every year. And I think it would be great if our tree board could get names and contacts for residents of Michigan City who've been through that program, so we could tap into them when we need volunteers. I attended part of that program last year, and was very impressed at the level of instruction and of enthusiasm among the people who were there. And I'd just like to get my hands on them, especially when we plant the trees in the fall.
I think that's an excellent idea. The reason I sent that out, that webpage out to the board was, number one, I'm going to London in May, and so I thought I was just sort of playing around on the internet and I found that and I thought, well, if I'm in London, maybe I'll stop in and visit the tree board while I'm in London and see how they do it over the pond.
Sure.
But the tree warden thing did strike me as a interesting idea, and it's not totally different than what's already being done in Chicago. But if we could initiate a program like that here and get a core group of people kind of involved in it, that would be tremendous. We'd have a ready core of volunteers, and
Well, the difficult thing is in getting the experts to do the training. And I'm sure Jen Birchfield can tell us how much work she does to get together that program. So I would not want to reinvent that wheel. And there are ways that we could probably recruit, if that's an ongoing program,
Yes.
help recruit Michigan City residents to attend that program. Maybe even give them some kind of, I don't know if it was free or not, or if they
I think it was $30.
maybe even pay for their,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good.
in exchange for their, wanting to be a volunteer.
Do you know if any of those programs were videotaped, recorded?
I do not know.
I don't know, but a lot of them in Chicago are, especially during, they had online training in 2020 and 2021. I was also involved in helping to train some of the individual, well, not so much the initial training, but for all the individuals in Chicago, they had to sit through a lecture on all sorts of things, but with respect to pruning, which is not something you could just learn from a book,
Right.
It's hands-on.
we had to have like a practical exam with these people, and I was involved with that. So I'd love to do some training in Michigan City, but like I said, there's already a template for that. At NERPC.
I think the idea of us recruiting is excellent. And I think the DNR does the training, and I think if we can get a lot of people
there are
who
a lot.
want the training, they're more likely to have it in
I
this
think
part of the state.
there's a lot of sources of training of different organizations that would provide that, and the key to making something like this work is, I think, is getting the people to volunteer for it, and maybe putting together a very rough idea what the program would be, what would be involved, and then soliciting the public to volunteer for this. We could do that through our
Facebook.
farmers markets, we could do it through our Facebook page, perhaps there's other ways.
We could do it through our forest.
Through our forester, and there's other ways that the city publicizes these things on its website. I guess I'm wondering if Betsy would be willing to kind of spearhead a bit of investigation in this idea to maybe kind of contemplate the parameters of this and how it might work for the city of Michigan City.
Well, the Tree Keepers program that I was involved in has 8 3-hour classes, and they're all taught by various experts, mostly certified arborists and scientists. And I think that's a little too much for us to step into right away.
Yes.
I think Tree Stewards is like 2 days, 7-8 hour
And
days.
they cover most of the same topics. It's just
Look, if we could-
slammed at you all
Yeah.
at once.
That's way more involved than what I was thinking about. I mean, if we could just get half a dozen people that were signed up and were interested in helping us plant trees in the fall, and then perhaps participating in some limited amount of training about trees, I would feel that was a big victory.
Well,
Yeah,
since-
that's pretty much what the Student Conservation Association is looking for as part of the grant, is we're supposed to get young people into the program, and SCA does that kind of training and provide the kids. So
Yeah.
that's part of what that grant is doing too, is
Right.
providing that
They're,
education.
they're supplying volunteers and training. And they will train our people as well, for the tree grant stuff. Now, our city staff needs to be trained differently, but yeah, as far as volunteers, a lot of that is already in the grant.
Okay. So we'll just come back to this at some point.
I think so after we start getting the administration of the grant set up and everything and finding out how SCA is working out with,
Yeah, I'd like to know how they recruit people. We've talked about high school students and scout troops and all sorts of things like that. But we have trouble getting connected to some of that younger generation.
So the SCA said a lot of their people are, if I'm not mistaken, 22 or 24 to 30. And I think if we're gonna go younger than that, it's gonna require in school
So you'd be
or
looking
in
at-
college,
Right.
somebody going to recruit, if you will.
You look like a Boy Scout troop or something like
Yeah.
that, where you're contacting the leader of the troop and then,
Well, maybe the first thing to do is to try to get an understanding of what the SCA does and see how we can support that. And we are going to benefit from that rather than try to,
we don't need
Yeah.
to reinvent the wheel.
right.
In the meantime, is somebody interested in finding out who the tree stewards in Michigan City already are? Would you like to do that, or shall I do that?
Well, if Jen Birchfield is going to be joining us, maybe that's the
I have no
obvious
idea.
person. We
I have no
don't
idea.
know. Okay. Well, I'm willing to
Okay.
reach out to her and send her an email since,
Okay.
and one thing, Mike, to kind of keep rolling around our head for the next month or so is mayor is having a more or less a city job fair during college spring break
Right.
periods and talk about summer interns and that. So there is some possible opportunity there that we kind of think about that. I know she's looking for engineering interns for the engineering department, but we could certainly look at something for the forestry department as well in that.
Because I agree. I think that would be really good to get somebody in, because it's going to be administering or monitoring this program is going to take somebody, and an intern's ideal for that.
yes.
So I've kind of given her several different positions that I need to fill. You can kind of start working out what you might want an intern to be able to do for at least the 2.5 months that they're in the summer, to kind of get training and work towards, maybe someone will change the direction they want to go in their career after working in the summer with the tree board and with you, so.
Or they may conclude they want to become an engineer.
I'm just hoping I can keep the ones that I get from running somewhere else.
Yeah, what's better than working with trees?
Yeah.
Laura, do we have any other communications?
Yes, we do. So I received another email from Councilman Don Prespolinski. Has there been any discussion about replacing missing trees on Franklin Street from 11th Street south to Cool Spring Avenue? Thanks. I sent him back. I said, yes, it's been mentioned, but we've been mainly focusing on getting a forester and this big grant. But this is something, I think the city should be buying trees for this purpose. And I would like to see that happen this year.
And the trees that I believe that need replacement are the calorie pears, aren't they?
No,
It's
no,
Japanese
I'm
lilac.
not talking about,
They're trees,
there's a lot of trees were cut down.
yeah.
Every tree that I see on that area is a Japanese lilac.
Oh,
So I'm assuming all the ones that were cut down were
Were
Japanese
same, yeah.
lilacs. I mean, it's a monoculture. There's nothing else there. So obviously I would like to see other trees planted there, a variety of trees, native trees. One side of the street has wires above it. I don't know why they went with short trees on the other side, maybe they just wanted the symmetry,
Balance, yeah.
but,
Mike, part of that grant is the asset inventory for the trees, and part of that asset inventory is a recommendation for
tree
plantings and
yeah.
that. So I think to answer Don, we could have a better idea in a couple of years of the overall forest canopy, but as far as Franklin Street, you're right, I mean,
I did
There's
a
a
very
possibility.
rough survey of that, and I gave it to you. Did you send it to him?
yes,
Okay, so he has
he
that.
has it,
So do we need to do a response to Dawn?
I did,
yeah.
You did.
So it's,
it was short.
yeah.
That's
We can, one of the things maybe, Mike, you can look at is see if there's some way this spring early to get some replacement trees for the ones that were cut down. I don't know what kind of funding we can get since the budget was already set last year, but
Yeah, I'd say that is the big issue right now, is that there's absolutely no money in there for it.
I mean, if Don brings it to the full city council and requests.
When she's
So,
president.
yeah, so I mean, there's a possibility that they may, I mean, because last year, if I remember right, we added $100,000 in the tree removal budget because there were a lot of extra trees that were dying and that. So there is a way that the city council
It
can
could happen.
fund some things.
Sure.
It might not happen till fall, but we can look at that and at least possibility of replacing the trees on Franklin Street.
Well, last year I did locate one small source of funds that would, and that would be from the United Foundation. And at the time, they told me,
Unity.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
the Unity
Unity Foundation.
Foundation of LaPorte County. And they did for years have a Michigan City Tree Fund.
Mhm.
I know that because I donated to it a few times. And I was told last year that it was, there was not much money and they haven't used it in a long time
Because we didn't know.
because we didn't know about it. But to access the money, all you'd need was a letter from the mayor, and or the Parks Department. So have you heard of the Unity Foundation?
No. My fear is that the Parks Department, not to steal their money, but if the Parks Department goes after trees, they're gonna wanna use it in the parks.
Of course.
Right. So we're not gonna ask them to write the letter.
Right.
But I'm just, and there, she would not tell me over the phone how much money, or when the deadline was. She just said, have the mayor send a letter. But if it was for this specific purpose of replacement of trees on Franklin Street, where it's a high-profile location, that might get a few $100s shaken loose.
Do you have that
I'll
contact
get
information,
trees.
who you talked to at the Unity Foundation, that you could give Mike? All of the departments are, like any other time before the mayor, to try to find
Right.
grants and funding and things like that, so
I'm
if
sure
Mike could
I
get that
took
Unity
some
Foundation.
notes somewhere. I can't guarantee that same person would answer the phone. She did not want to have a long
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah.
Okay,
Betsy,
so-
if you have the contact information, perhaps you could even draft a letter for the mayor. Mike
Well,
could review it, and you guys could put together something, to make a request.
I don't think there needs to be, a beautifully written proposal.
No,
A simple,
Just a
but
request, yeah.
I will look in my
The funds
notes to
available.
see if I can find that.
if the money's sitting there and they need to put it to work, we could,
We got places.
Well, I was really
Really
putting it to work in other places, but I will try to find that and forward what I learned to you.
Great.
And do I have your email address? or would you prefer a phone call?
Email, definitely.
Okay, can you give me that again?
It's MWOLFF@emichigancity.com.
Great.
Just like T.
Okay, I will try to,
What's your office phone number, Mike?
You have to call the regular number. My extension's 2023, I believe.
Okay.
I never call myself. And unfortunately, I'm new enough, not a lot of people call me.
Not yet. Not yet. Not till they can start complaining about it.
Now it's out there, so.
Exactly.
Any other communications, Laura?
I got a couple of things from Tim. One was talking about Dominic Edwards' appointment, and the other we'll get to later. So, committee reports. Education and outreach.
Okay,
Monthly farmers market.
I have things to say on that. Well, I mean, the monthly farmers market falls underneath that, and Mike, for 9 years running, I did, twice a month, I did the Q&A table for master gardeners at the farmers market, and I suggested that we do the same thing early last year, and I think it's gone fairly well. One thing that I think we may need to look into is doing further education, especially along the lines of invasive, nasty tree of heaven trees, and for me, it's mulberry trees. But also, we might then introduce, if we get it off the ground, the idea of the tree steward program, so on and so forth. In regard to outreach, my background is as a clinical medical social worker, and I'm trained in community development liaison. So what I've been doing is trying to get word out there via the local FM station and also through the Beecher, which you may not be familiar with. I've been in touch with Ron Miller, and I did forward the information that you had. I forwarded that to him.
Who is Ron Miller?
Ron Miller is the station manager for WEFM.
Okay.
So he will be getting that information out. The next step is I would like to hear from Mike in regard to how you would like to be introduced to the community, because that would be another thing that, in addition to the grant, we now have a new urban forester who is such and such, and so on and so forth, that we get that out there. I've been talking with both Ron Miller, who's that station manager, about doing a program mid-March, maybe a 15-minute program, which they often do. It's usually about 8 o'clock in the morning, about the tree board, what we're doing, what we're up to, the grant, the new urban forester, to start getting this community liaison work going on, and also community organization.
That's
We
great.
can also report on what's going there.
Do we have a commitment from them to put us on? Do a program on?
That isn't until the middle of March, so
Okay.
that's gonna be some negotiation on my part with them.
I see.
But I've done it before. I've been on the station there for botanical, Friendship Botanical Garden, so I'm sort of familiar with the format there. I've also been in touch with Drew at the Beecher, and I'm sending him the information, or I sent him the information that you had on the grant. I actually was able to talk to him directly. He's a person that you can reach by phone. And so we're going to be working, he's going to connect me to a staff writer, and we're going to work on an article, maybe front page article, middle of March, dealing with tree board, what it is, the grant, the new urban forester, and programs that we're going to be engaging in the up and coming year. And that's one reason why I wanted to do it sort of right around the official date of spring, is people will be noticing some things coming up and they may get something of an urge. And when they're notified about it, it's enough in advance that we're sort of ahead of the game. So,
That's great news, because the
Yeah.
picture reaches a lot of people, and
Yeah.
I think that if we could
Right.
connect with him and get him to pay attention to us, because I had sent him several press releases, nothing ever appeared. I don't know where they go into the circular file, whatever, but
yeah.
you're making this contact is great.
Sure, sure. The immediate information is going to get out via the WEFM. The other aspect of it is we need to work with our Facebook site more. And starting now, we could be posting things on Facebook about the grant, about the new urban forester, and other such programs as they arise. What I'd like to do is see, especially on the Facebook format, about a week before the change of the month, to say, okay, at the end of February, we could say, in March, you can anticipate this with us and contact us, in and about these things, so that besides, I'd like to see some kind of monthly article or subject that relates to us and trees and whatever else that can keep people interested, so that they're checking back, like people keep checking back with the beachers.
We could do a monthly report on a Facebook page of the meeting and the principal issues that come out of the meeting that are of interest to the public, or that we are seeking to publicize to get input from the public or to sign up.
Yeah.
Not everything and not every detail from the
no.
meeting, but you know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah. To
Mary,
inform them of what we're doing, but we also need to have
that's a great idea.
some things out there in regard to, we're at this stage in the growing season, and these are the trees or whatever that you should be putting out now, or these are maybe possible sources for trees, etc. Along the education line, I'd sort of like to see, through the Facebook and also through the farmers market program, being able to offer people, if you are thinking of putting trees on your property and you would like some consultation, we have people either on the tree board or through Mike that can come and discuss with you.
I'd be happy to,
Yeah, right.
I do free consultation all the time.
Well,
People don't always, care what I have to say, but
even so,
if
yeah.
you say free,
So, that's something too I want to get fairly, at least by March, on that Facebook site, that we will do consultations if you're thinking of establishing trees on your property.
Yeah, and there's one other place too, and Mike, I talked to you and forwarded you the link to the Michigan City Forestry page that was set up by previous
Right.
city foresters. We can certainly get that back up and running and get the same kind of information.
that's a
on the
Facebook
city's-
page?
It's city's webpage.
The
Oh,
city's
okay.
webpage. Do you think that would be as
No, certainly not as
meaningful as a
as
Facebook
Facebook,
page?
but
Right.
it's something that Mike can just
Sure.
take the Facebook information and even say, here's reference Facebook, or link to the
Yeah.
city tree board Facebook page.
Well, Mary Nell's still doing our Facebook
Facebook page,
page.
yeah.
She pretty much publishes anything you send to her.
Yep.
Yeah.
But she hasn't been creating a lot of content.
Right, understood. But we can always consider that when we have our meetings. What do we want to put, the week before the change of the month? What do we want to get out there on the Facebook to let them know about next month and what we're doing and how to contact us and what we offer and so on. Yeah. Also, if we're okay on those subjects, I wanted to get clarified, nothing really is being done in town in regard to Arbor Day, right? That's all been postponed till later?
Well, isn't that
Well, we're doing something in
May
May,
4th?
but on
Oh,
actual
actual.
Arbor Day, we're not
No,
There's
or
nothing
Earth
that the
Day.
city is doing. Okay, because I've done this before and I'm working with Friendship Botanical Gardens to have a little Arbor Day kind of thing at Friendship Gardens, where people can pull in, we can have information, and so we could, or I could, or whoever else is interested, be there and actually start priming the pump in regard to Happy Arbor Day with a, you know, city tree board, and so that can,
Well, I know from working with the public that they want more than a piece of paper if they're
Yeah.
gonna come over. So,
Well, this could be a piece of paper that tells them that they
Yeah,
can get a tree.
right, well, we
Laura, when
will
do the
have,
saplings come? It was always right before Arbor Day, I thought. 'Cause
Yeah,
kept
I
them
think it's
usually
shortly
for a week.
before Arbor Day, but,
'Cause if that's the case, I mean, we could,
we could start giving them away
we,
early.
and that,
Well-
right.
I don't think we have that many this
Yeah.
time, so I
understood.
think they're all gonna go on May 4th.
Well, if we give them before then, we don't have to distribute them on May 4th if we get it
Well,
closer.
you know, we were giving
Arbor
away
Day.
Because we're
handfuls
Christmas.
last year. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe if we acquire them early enough
Yeah.
for Arbor Day,
Right.
maybe just give
Because-
one
Yeah.
with a flyer to come to the May 4th event.
One issue that Drew Hart mentioned today at our meeting was about the saplings and getting them in the ground before they bud out.
Mhm.
And last year, we had trees that were budding out by May 4th
Yeah.
that we picked up a week and a half earlier. As I watered them, I tried to keep them in the shade and keep them cool and that, but we just had such a warm week and a half there after they were picked up that I don't remember one of the tree species was already
Yeah.
shooting
Well,
out
that's
leaves,
true.
yeah.
That's
And some of them got a little rotten.
Right,
Did not.
right.
Yeah,
I think
So
they did have been rotten.
So the sooner we could get them distributed to Arbor Day, the better. If we only have a few trees left on the first farmer's market, that's good, but if we could do it
right,
at the
Well,
Friendship
let's
Gardens and
begin.
get that right.
Right.
Get that out to the
Begin
Well,
community.
I
It's gonna
know
help.
for sure that Earth Day Extravaganza is expecting us to have some trees. So,
Oh, we won't give them all.
No,
no, but if,
I think we're.
enough as bait for, and well, come back May so-and-so and we'll have a whole lot more.
I mean, we've done that in the past where we gave the trees away at the library, the Arbor Day thing at the library the following week. We did the farmer's market with what was left.
I think something we could do on Facebook that might be fun is have people send a picture, a photo of a tree that they got from us or that we planted in the
Oh,
fall.
yeah.
And, you know, that
that's
hopefully-
nice.
have them, you know, send us how their tree is doing.
Well, not only that, but what I'm doing with you. What is this tree? I found it out in the middle of Ruby Woods. People can do that kind of thing. Can you name this
Yes.
tree? Which gets people engaged and interested and curious.
I don't think I
looking.
could name it from the photo you gave me, but.
If you blow it up, you
Yeah.
can see the,
Yeah.
but we'll get back to that.
I'll try that.
Is that the
Yeah.
same one you
So
sent
what
me?
I'll do, yeah, it's one I sent you. I was trying to get there today to get a leaf, but I didn't have the time. What I'll do is by the next meeting, I will get back to you and let you know what I'm working out with Friendship Botanical Gardens, because if it's a big enough thing that will attract people, one thing that we've offered there before, which would be fun, is someone who's versed in doing a tree walk and learning how to identify winter trees. So we've
I
got all
would be
these
happy to
paths.
do that.
Hmm?
I would be happy to do that,
Yeah.
and I bet Betsy would too.
Right, yeah, which is another way of engaging people, because, you know, being able to identify your trees in winter by bark, et cetera, and structure, you're getting them more and more interested and engaged, and it's a nice thing we're offering as,
Yeah, well, I don't want to get into a lot of detail here, but I think if Friendship is going to do something for Arbor Day, it can't be just us.
no,
And what
no,
we have to-
we have enough to do
Okay.
ourselves, but we could be Friendship Garden can be the attracting.
What day are we talking about at Friendship?
Well, it'd probably be that weekend, the Saturday of the weekend. It's not gonna fly if Arbor Days during the week?
Afternoon?
Well, I know Earth Day in Chicago is April 20th on the Saturday, so maybe we're
Right.
talking about the following Saturday?
Well, they're very close to each other. We've often done combinations there of Earth Day, Arbor Day.
Okay.
Okay,
All right? Well, I'll get back to you about that as I talk to
Okay.
people at
April
Quench the Darkness.
27th is the day I would propose.
What,
April
Saturday, April
27th.
27th.
oh, is that,
That's the day I would propose because
Yeah.
that's a week before
First farmer's
we
market.
do our things?
the big extravaganza.
Yeah, and also when we start farmer's market.
Right.
Right.
But the 27th, what is that closer to? Arbor Day, Earth Day?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. All right. See, they'll be setting that date themselves, so.
Yeah,
When is our first
let us
farmer's
know
market?
when they.
May 4th.
May
Saturday,
4th,
May
same
4th.
day.
So public relations, is that our next, we have, kind of covered that, haven't we?
I think we covered that.
Yeah,
Arbor Day, we've covered that.
Yeah, I think we
Three
did.
Grants, we covered.
Grants.
Grants,
Have we talked enough about grants?
yes, yeah.
Michael, was there more you needed to say about the grants?
Nope.
Okay. Annual tree planting, tree request list, watering reminders.
Have we made that application for community tree, or is that gonna be coming up?
That comes up, yeah. That'll be later in the, I think, late summer, if I remember right, before fall pickup.
Okay, I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, it seems like it was August or September when we did the application
Yeah, I
of
think
groups
so.
and then picked up the trees.
Last year, did we accept requests for, on our Facebook page, or was it strictly through the farmer's market?
Strictly through farmer's market list is what we had last year.
I
But I would
think
imagine
we've
we
gotta
should-
expand that.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I agree. We could do it through Facebook page, why not?
and maybe even put flyers in other places.
And maybe we
Because
need to ask for
Mike,
more
Drew
trees.
Hart kind of mentioned that we should probably ask for 80 trees for community tree this year.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
So, I mean, especially if we have SCA people around to help plant and everything too, coming up this fall. So if we get a long list of people that want them, that's great. So,
if we do post something like that on Facebook, Facebook has Messenger, so people can directly messenger us with their questions or requests. So without posting it on the Facebook page itself. So there's one advantage of working Facebook that way.
80 trees is a lot of trees.
but if we have SCA helping us,
But I don't know if we will, because they're hired for their thing.
And our track record with community tree was last year we planted, 15 trees on our own or something like that, and then gave the rest of them to the parks
yeah, the other
department.
10, yeah.
So this, I don't,
Because that's all the list we had for requests.
right, so I don't see community tree as suddenly giving us 80 trees, maybe they would give us 25
I
or
think
30.
we need to expand our request
Yeah,
system.
if we get a
We need
bigger
to
list.
recruit more for people who want trees.
Yeah, we can ask for more, doesn't mean we're gonna get more.
Right, right.
So I think we should ask for at least 50
I
trees.
think 50 sounds good.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, who's gonna do that application? Tim, are you gonna do that again?
Not me. I am.
Not, is our forester gonna do that?
I think our new president should do that.
Well, I'm president.
That sounds like
Yeah,
a
it does sound
presidential
like a
task.
presidential thing.
to me.
It's been in the past, so I think that's the perfect,
I think that sounds like a forester thing, but.
yeah, I would say the forester as well.
Well, maybe in
That was the
10.
point.
Well, if you have the application from last year and all the paperwork for that, perhaps you could forward that to me and Mike so that we could take a
Yeah.
look at that and be up to speed on
You
it.
I think Mike's got it, but I will get that to you as well.
Oh, as long as Mike's got it, that's okay.
Mike may have it, he may not know what he's looking at when he sees it, but he may have it.
Maybe you could be more successful applying for it than I was applying for other money from NIPSCO, which ended up getting us a 0.
Well, it's not money, it's trees.
I know, that's a little bit different.
Okay, going back to some questions of dates. Earth Day this year is Monday, April 24th, and Arbor Day is Friday, April 26th, that same week.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, they're always very close. So
Okay,
Earth Day is the 24th and Arbor is,
Well, that
26.
doesn't make sense. That's only a couple days
So
between
if the
Monday and
Fri-
Friday.
If the friendship had, I don't know if they've already chosen a date, but if they choose April 27th, to me, that's one day after Arbor Day, so that would be
Yeah.
ideal.
Sorry, Monday, April 22nd, that makes more sense.
Yeah, we're not doing.
so
Monday.
the April 22nd
22nd
is,
is Earth Day and
Monday.
Arbor Day is Friday, April 26th this year, 2024.
and Earth Day is the 26th?
Mhm.
Okay,
Arbor Day is the 26th.
wait a minute.
Earth Day 22nd, Arbor Day 26th.
Arbor is the 26th.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, tree city designation, that was turned in by Mary Nell Murphy in early January. I think she got an extension, so I think we're
Yes.
good with that. Arborist report.
Okay, I'm gonna just run through it more quickly. Just to give you an idea what I've been working on since I got started. I've created a database for all the licensed arborists. I found our system was kind of not up to what I expected. And I've worked with the controller's office and the legal department, and I'm vetting the people who are applying as arborists more thoroughly than what they have been in the past,
Thank you.
and I'm tracking them. I've started workflow paperwork. I started a database for future tree work orders, and right through final inspection. And that's paper flow. There's another program that is used by the different parties. Not everybody's on the same computer programs, which they have yet to install on my computer or give me access to. So I can't really finish that one yet. But I'm working on paper flow. I'm working on standardized training program for tree workers. Both anybody who touches a tree in Michigan City needs to have training. At least make sure that they have had training. There's a couple of specs that they should go by, standardized spec. ANSI 300 is the one that's a pruning standards, and ANSI Z133. Those are the tree care operation. So I'm working on putting together a standardized training program for both the city employees and to make sure that the tree crews who are doing work know how to do the job right.
Excuse me, and that includes safety training?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Anything with a chainsaw.
Just to make you all aware, the Sanitary District of Michigan City has had a training or safety training program for several years. The mayor is expanding that to citywide. So
Right.
the safety person that the sanitary district had is being expanded to all the different departments within the
Across the
city.
board.
So there is an overall safety program starting within the city for all departments.
Right. We're trying to get a standardized system.
So when you say tree crews, you mean anybody who's contracted to do tree work
No, tree crews can be city employees
or
or contractors.
contracts? Yeah, okay.
I won't run through what is ANSI A300 spec includes, but yeah, I'm working on, again, standardized procedures across the board for forestry. Again, we met with Drew Hart today with USDA. I got the rundown on the IRA grant program, and it was a very good conversation with him. I'm also I'm working with Davy Tree at the moment, Davy Tree Group, to work out getting equipment. The city doesn't have any forestry equipment. So I'm looking to see what we can do to get forestry equipment. If they need to go top a tree, the city can't do it. We don't have the equipment to do it. So I'm seeing if I can't work out a program. Right now I'm only dealing with Davy Tree. I've called Asplin Tree, and their upper guy hasn't contacted me back. But Davy Tree and I have talked about working out. Davy has an equipment policy. For instance, if you work for NIPSCO in Indiana as a subcontractor, you can't have a piece of equipment that's over 5 years old. At 5 years, you're no longer in compliance with your agreement. That equipment has to go, new one has to come in. I'm working to see if Davy Tree won't donate to us, to the city, a bucket truck, a chipper, and a pickup truck. So I'm working with Davy to see if we can't acquire that. I'm also working with Davy to see if I can't get, they used to have what's called supplemental staff program. So it's a contractual thing, but what they do is they have people basically on standby who I can call and say, hey, I have a tree at such and such location. I need you to send qualified people to go remove this dangerous tree. And Davy Tree takes care of that. Yeah, like I said, it's a supplemental staff. This is in the works. This is way early, but this is what I'm working on. And I need to get started on the RFP for the tree survey, because we've got to get that started and going. Again, I've talked with Davy Tree, mainly because I was talking to them about a bunch of other things, to see if they have. I talked to the person who's in charge of their tree program, tree survey program. And I talked to her about what their requirements are, what they need from us, what we need from them. So I've got a grasp on what we need to do. I just need to get together, or need to get the paperwork together and write the request for payment, so we can get something out there to see if we can't get quotes and get it started.
Tell the board about the atlas that you did find, that you showed me today, the tree list,
Oh.
GIS map.
I have been digging for information about the position. I have on my computer a USG map. I have a copy of the 2020 survey that was done, a copy of the 2010 survey, and I've got it's really an Excel format. It's metadata. It's the backup stuff for the program. But I have a copy of that. And I talked, for instance, today to another forester from a USG, and they had a guy, he's doing research, and he needed to find a certain tree. I'm able to, for instance, he needed a white pines, which I would have thought would have been everywhere. They're not. But being able to, I put in the GPS locations, I found it on the database, the GPS location for a white pine, pulled it up on the screen, put it to search, searched all the trees in that guy's yard and said, here's an address where you could go find white pines.
Excellent.
Which is something that,
Yeah, that I think will be critical information to share in the RFP, that we do have some rudimentary information of tree surveys
Yeah.
prior that would help.
the problem
That's true,
I
sir.
see though, and this is with our previous tree surveys. We've done several tree surveys. No two are alike. We didn't do a full tree survey the same way with the same information that I can see in the last couple of decades.
Yeah.
So, you know,
So
the
let's work on
information.
that together, we have good information.
Yeah, well, I would hope, but no, it doesn't work that easy. That might be a little hopeful, but I think what we need to do, again, standardize. This is what our tree inventory needs, and use that same format every single time.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because, like I said, we've got bits and pieces of information, and I can throw them and layer them and lap them over and go, you know, that tree's not even there.
Right.
And one thing nice about that tree program that I looked up, they do have Alanthia on there. They have some invasive, they do show me where we have invasive species. So I can go and find Alanthia within the parameters of what they looked at. I went out, I was playing with the program, and I went out and there's a pear tree right out my window. And I thought, okay, practice, find this pear tree, what is it, where is it, find it in the database. According to the database, this pear tree's got a 7-inch DBH. When I went out and measured it, it was 14.4. So, I mean,
The gateway.
yeah, it did. A lot of weight. A pear tree to gain 7 inches in girth is significant. But like I said, I was able to do it, and that was the exercise, was find out how to do
It's
it.
there, yeah.
So with regards to invasive trees, apparently some of this database tracks those things. What I want to know is, what is the city doing, and what are you going to be doing to get rid of invasive trees, principally the tree of heaven? Now, I tell you from my personal experience, I went out walking around in my neighborhood yesterday, and I have a home on Lakeshore Drive where Nevada tees into Lakeshore, right at the edge of Sheridan
Yep.
Beach. This is an area of fairly expensive homes where people are fairly educated and knowledgeable about things, trees you would hope. And I discovered
No
there were at
correlation
least
there, no
five
correlation.
groves of tree of heaven within 100 yards of my house.
Right.
Okay? Now, these things are awful, awful trees, and the people who have them have absolutely no idea how awful these trees are. And I mean, if I could accomplish one thing on this board, it would be to raise the knowledge of people about this terrible, notorious invasive species, and to get the city on a program to eradicate the things as much as possible.
Right.
I mean, for example, now, if somebody calls the city and says, I've got this thing on the right of way right in front of my house, will you get somebody over there to remove it? Just on the basis of it's an invasive species?
Right. At the moment, no.
No.
I can't.
And that's
But
because why? Because you don't have the resources, or because you don't have the authority?
all the above.
Yes, I was just gonna say,
It's really all the above. I can identify the tree.
Okay.
I can go and say, yeah, you're definitely right. However, I have already started taking steps. One of the guys that I talked with is a forester for NIPSCO. And I've talked to NIPSCO about when they're doing their line work in the city, which
Just cut those suckers down.
that's exactly right.
course, that's not gonna be
I
covered,
talked to them about giving the tree crews a blank check, so to speak, when they're doing their tree work, to remove the invasive species as part of what they're doing.
Absolutely, but that's a good thing. But I thought the city had a policy, and because I had some personal involvement with this, I called the street department at one point last year and said, there is this huge mulberry right in front of my house, it's leaning over my driveway.
It's not in the ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and the street department came out and they cut back this mulberry. Was that outside of their authority to do that? They're not supposed to do that?
I honestly don't know for sure. From what I understand, yes, it was outside their authority.
Where was it growing?
It was in the right of way, right in front of my house.
I think that the city has,
I think the city has authority in
has
the right of
authority
way
over the
to
tree
remove
line.
any trees in the right of way that
That they
are.
want.
But somebody could have stretched the limit on how safe or unsafe that particular tree was.
Well,
I think they
that's-
can remove
But-
anything they want to in the.
But I,
tree line.
Well,
so I
see,
think
that's,
that the city
that's part of the
already-
problem with the way a non-standardized system. If anybody wants to cut down a tree, that needs to come across my desk. And I need to be able to write,
Absolutely.
I need to look at the tree and say, yes, no, you know.
But Mike, I think in the city right of way, I think the city has authority to remove anything in the right of way that could be a hazard.
This is why we need to review the ordinance.
Okay, I
Right.
It's
agree.
not in there.
It's not in there, but it should be in there. And I
Invasive
think the
plant.
practice in the past has been to remove these things. Anyway, that, to me, that should be a darn priority here, because those things are awful, and they're,
Right. And,
they get
and
started, we'll,
honestly though,
Never do.
with only $150,000 into a whole year's budget for tree removal, you just scratched the surface.
we probably need to move on here.
Yep.
Do
Yeah.
you
But
have
I'm done.
anything else to report, Mike?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, that sounds like you really hit the ground running, so
Yeah.
thank you.
I just want to say, here it says, public nuisances, the following are hereby declared public nuisances under this article, etc. I skipped one. Any otherwise healthy tree, shrub, or plant, whether located on city-owned property or private property, which harbors insects or diseases. Maybe the Ailanthus is
That's a bit of a
attractive to spotted lanternfly, so.
Well, that's true, but
But they're not.
there's not a tree in the town that you could not fall under. That's a pretty broad expectation. Again, dead, dying, the arborist rule is always dead, dying, or disease. And harboring, while that's true, there's also a risk, a calculated risk of, okay, so this tree dies and falls over. What's it gonna hit? What is the, there's a mathematical or a numerical thing that you can put on them. But, so, yeah, but like I said, it's possible, but we don't have the resources in our budget to do it, to do what you're asking.
Well, I think we could revisit that issue again, but next month, we'll have a written report from you in front of us before the meeting starts, great. Or if you could email that out to us before the meeting, that would be wonderful. I feel like we ought to move along because it's almost 8 o'clock here.
Yeah. Old business, consider the job description revision.
Well, if you
Yeah,
looked
actually.
at what we sent out, I think we don't need hopefully you don't need a lot more discussion. Dennis, did you get, the final revision?
Yeah, you sent an email.
Right,
Right, yeah.
okay, I made a copy if you weren't able to.
I would move that we
Well,
approve that
I
description.
got the email, but I'd love to have a copy since my printer is.
Okay, send that now.
I would like to get a copy of it too.
Yeah, this is, pared down a bit from, our
I will second
previous-
the motion to approve the forester position.
We have a vote, will there
Is there any
approve
discussion?
the new description of the city forester position?
Is there any discussion? I think Mike
It's
wanted
job
to have some
description.
input on this.
Yeah. No, but, thank you, Jim, for your final, tweaks to what we
Yeah.
did as a group. And, just real quickly, Michael, we took out the part about proficiency with a bucket truck. We changed the requirement, basic requirement to certified arborist with degree preferred instead of the other way around. and a few other little omissions.
But I
Yeah.
still want to see if you get that bucket truck from Davy Tree, see
Oh,
how you
yeah.
operate that. So I want to come and watch.
I will take you up, well, there
I don't
will be
wanna
a
go up
bucket.
in it, I don't wanna go up in it.
I'll let you, I'll work the controls from the ground, you can go up. Piece of cake.
All right,
Yeah, it looks like fun.
all
Is
right.
there any further discussion? Mike, did you want to say anything about it?
No, the arborist thing, like I said, I have seen his notes, on this, and, I didn't have anything of any real value to add. The only thing I would have added myself is where it says certified arborist, is have an ISA certified arborist, not just a certified arborist. Because arborist typically is a tree cutter, and a lot of areas certify their arborists to cut their trees. And they're really not they're not arborists, they're just guys that they said, yeah,
Tree cutters.
you can cut the tree, you're now an arborist.
Yep.
So I would add ISA in there.
I don't want to revise it. At this point, we've had
Oh,
enough revisions. Let's vote on it, up or down.
Yeah.
All in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
Okay.
Opposed?
Okay. Question, Betsy, is what are you going to do with it now?
That was my question to the rest of you who've been related to
Do we have to,
Michigan city government
how do we
longer
get
than I
it, how do
have.
we get it enacted into city government official policy as the job description here?
I think it's gotta go back to,
The mayor?
The mayor and the city council.
Yeah, the
Okay.
council.
Yes, the city council finalizes.
So somebody needs to take this to.
Mike, you,
I've got a copy, I can give it to the mayor.
that's.
So you wanna get this in,
I can send you an electronic copy if you like.
if you would, that'd be awesome.
Okay.
It's all your department, Mike, so
Yeah.
you should present it as, here's some revisions to the job description for Forester.
Is there any new business?
I do have something I'd like to add, it's budget related, but it's new business. In the budget, there's a line for, and this would be future new business, because there's nothing we can do about it now. But in the budget, there is a line, and I'm not gonna find it right away. There's no money, the budget for transportation within the forestry department is not there. We have no vehicle.
Correct.
I literally have no way of getting around.
I don't either.
You have
Yeah.
to drive your personal vehicle to,
Technically, no. I talked to the mayor, and I have access to the mayor's car, but I would rather not be stealing the mayor's car every day.
she might need that.
But yeah, the budget does not have anything in there for our positions. There is no vehicle.
No vehicle available in the city. Yeah.
And the city, I've talked to several different groups within the city, and they all have, they have some equipment, but they're for their use and they're not giving it up. So,
So what is the board supposed to do about that?
the board in the future, when we do our budget, we need to include money for a vehicle. For now, I think there's nothing we can do.
No, there's nothing we can do this year.
This year, it's not something we can do, but it needs to be put in, operating supplies, other garage motor supplies. I think there's a line in here for vehicle. So, but we need to include some way of getting around.
Okay.
Michael, can you define for us what kind of vehicle would best service you?
I'm purely administrative, so in my case, it could be
Any.
a bicycle.
Wouldn't have
I
to
would
be,
rather not be a bicycle, but yeah, I don't need a pickup truck or
wouldn't need
anything.
a small pickup truck or anything.
No,
His engine might, he needs a
Maybe a leased
bicycle anyway, not a
vehicle.
bicycle.
Right, a vehicle would be great. I would like it to have strobe lights and things so that if we're out in an
Right.
emergency or some application, I don't have a
Like
car just
a
parked.
Vespa, and we can get a little light for your hard hat or
Yeah,
something.
right.
And I already picked up a hard hat from the crew this morning,
Good,
so-
good.
and a vest. So I've got some safety equipment.
Is there any other new business?
Talk to our friends at Davy.
Board member comments? Public comments?
From the public.
Hearing none.
Next meeting will be Wednesday, March 6th, right here. I will not be here, I will be in Italy.
I guess I should say that, this is going back to board member comments, that this is my last meeting on the tree board. I've resigned from the tree board as the city's engineer. I have other duties, so I appreciate working with all of you. I will certainly come to the meetings and help out on tree plantings and everything, but this is my last actual membership of the board, so the mayor will have a new member coming up soon to follow Dominic, who was just sworn in today to replace Dahlia, so there'll be another one to replace me.
I
Yeah,
am so
no,
sorry
two
to lose you.
Dominique,
Replacements.
not
Dominique.
Dominic.
Dominic, yes.
Dominique.
Dominique, don't do
Well, that is a shame that you'll be leaving.
Yes.
We'll miss
I
you.
don't know what
I
we
think-
can, how we can thank you, Tim, for everything you've
I
done. and-
think this is the least we can do.
By continuing to move the board forward. Thank you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been a pleasure. A lot of hard work, but it's been a
Yes.
pleasure.
Is
So,
there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
second. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye. We're done. Thank you.
Thanks all.
All right.